God for the time and amazing life that he has given Mwai Kibaki, and for the work that the third president was able to do for Kenya. Yes.
How was his journey like until he became this economic prowess that we knew him as Kenyans, the person that we celebrate who revolutionized our economy?
Our parents, his siblings, tell us as a young person he liked to study, and you would often find him with a book from a very, very early on. Even in later years, even on holiday, you would find him with plenty of reading materials, a book, Economist magazine, and so on. Those who studied with him say he was an exceedingly smart person, and no wonder then he ends up at Makerere, where he studies economics, and thereafter London School of Economics. Those of us who worked with him, say much later in life, even early in life, will tell you he was a really sharp mind and a very, very good listener. When he was president, I had an opportunity to work with him as his assistant minister for industry. And I tell you, he could ask you many, many questions, and he was never in a hurry about a subject. He would ask many questions to make sure that everything is covered, and that when we make a step forward as government, we had considered everything that needed to be considered. So, his economic prowess and whatever, Makerere, London School of Economics, he comes back to teach at Makerere, works also briefly, I think, for ESO, but just before independence, comes to get involved in the affairs of KANU, and at independence, becomes a parliamentary secretary later on. So I would say in terms of practice of economics, you begin to see it at the time when he's parliamentary secretary. Then he was Minister for Commerce. I think it becomes well known when he is serving as Minister for Finance. And there is no doubt in anybody's mind that this is a brilliant economic mind, runs the economy very well. We read in history in the mid-70s, in the early 70s, Time put him on the cover as one of the top 100 leaders of the world at that time. As leader of opposition, again you see his grasp of the economy and economic management coming through, providing a counterpoint to the government of the day then, in the 90s. And of course, when he's president, in the 2000s, you again see that economic prowess. In his 10 years, as economists, we talk about real wages as a way of measuring people's welfare. And it increases 4 times, from 7,000 to 33,000 shillings per person per month. So nearly 5 times, no mean feat. But I think you also knew him, never one to stroke controversy, but a very firm personality, not one to be easily swayed by one opinion or another, but staying focused in his work and his dedication to the country. Yes.
And just before I let you go, maybe you can tell us what are some of the best memories you have with him, and how was that like? Maybe you can tell us.
Well, one thing that stands out in my mind, my own son, Ngure, wrote a book and published it when he was 8 years old. And when President Kibaki heard of the news that the young man was going to publish a book, he was very keen to get involved, and in fact launched the book at Kilimani Junior. And you can well imagine now, this is a young man, a boy really, in class 3, And the president is very keen to engage with him, and we spent a wonderful day as we launched the book. They both made amazing speeches, so that stands out. I recall very, very early on, when I myself was a young man in secondary school, him introducing me to Mr. Hale Mule, who was then his permanent secretary. And as a young boy going to Form 1, feeling quite excited to be sitting and having tea with these senior economists, and no wonder I ended up as an economist myself. Some people may not really know it, but President Kibaki was also a very humorous man. Those who served with him in Parliament will tell you he had humor and wit that sometimes he could, crack a joke at your expense, and even you would be laughing because of the delivery and the composure in which it is put. So there are many, many memories, and I'm sure many Kenyans and family members have many, many fond memories of President Kibaki, and I'm sure in the days to come, more people, family members, friends, will have opportunity to say to Kenya and to the rest of the world what an amazing man President Kibaki was, and I'm certain his influence and legacy on us as his family members, on Kenyans, will live for a long time to come.
So maybe one last thing that you'd like to tell us as a family.
Well, we as a larger family, we really appreciate. Of course, when you lose a loved one, it's a really sad thing. So you will excuse us if we are not as forthcoming, and continue to pray for us. And we thank you very, very much for the many, many messages of condolence and well wishes, and it's being there for us, and for his immediate family and for the extended family as we navigate this period. Thank you.